Mike Lynn Memorial League 2019. Week 1 Power Rankings. Brought to you by chillandheal.com. We'll freeze your fucking feet off, and then someone can draft you number 1 next year. All right, gentlemen, back by popular demand, power rankings. I'm going to try and go a little faster this year so you can consume them in a shorter time frame. Let's get right to it. Number 12, MVP power. Big contributing factor on why this is number 12. You wasted the number 1 pick on Antonio Brown, who now is going to get cut or suspended. And then you don't have a number 1 pick next year. You do have good running back depth, no wide receiver depth. Number 11, the homies. Heavily relying on rookies at receiver and tight end. I'm just not a believer in Gurley after the playoff debacle. I think your wide receiver depth is an issue. And Noah Fant is a good player, but he's a rookie tight end. They typically struggle, and he's in a bad offense. Number 10, Juju's Giant Jocks. I noticed that you have Matt Ryan again. I think you've had him like several years, even without keeping him. The biggest reason that you're number 10, Sean, is just penalizing for not utilizing draft resources in a way that I think maximizes talent on a roster. So you have Matt Schaub on your team. Matt Ryan doesn't get hurt, so it's just a wasted roster spot. And then you rostered Eli Manning, who will get benched. So you really don't have a reliable backup quarterback. You also rostered 3 defenses. I do think Chris Godwin is going to be a wide receiver 1 and will be in the conversation, will be in your top 3 next year. Number 9, Team Man Gravy. This is Team Scat Back. If James White is a running back too, you've got a bunch of smaller statured running backs. QB depth is an issue. I do think Calvin Ridley is going to break out, though. Number 8, yesterday's corn. I think that, Mike, this team has a great starting lineup, but there is depth issues. You handcuff too many guys. I think Wayne Gallman on your team is kind of a waste. And then you have like the 4th string running back for Atlanta. I don't know why. I think Cousins is better than Jared Goff, and neither of them is all that good. But for fantasy, they're fine. And I think O.J. Howard's going to dominate. Number 7, Weapons of Matt's Distraction. Nice name. Not. Biggest reason this team isn't higher, a Gordon holdout and keeping him instead of putting him in restricted. You would have got him back if you paired him up with somebody. I don't think you have a number 1 wide receiver. I'm not a believer in Kenny Golladay. After he was pretty meh last year. You do have running back depth for days, and perhaps you can trade one of those guys. And if Gordon comes back, it changes things, and your team moves up a little bit. And you also drafted more running back depth on top of that. So, number 6, Stunt Cock. So I love I couldn't say no to that trade, getting Julio back and getting a number 1 next year. But I did kind of reach, well, not kind of, I big time reached on Kyler because all the players I thought were going to be available to me in the 1st and 2nd round were gone, and I just kind of panicked. I think Dalvin's going to have a breakout year, although I drafted Madison as a handcuff, and maybe I should have drafted Boone. Number 5, Mold the Thrill. I don't like the team name change, so I bumped you down a spot for that. Your team is top-heavy. Nuke, Chubb, Kamara, probably the best top 3 anybody had by a mile. However, I think you have depth issues at wide receiver. You have a lot of guys who could be really good, Westbrook and Gallup and a couple other second-year guys, but they might not be. And then Austin Hooper is bad, and I don't think the Bears' defense is going to be as good. Number 4, Stern Rake. You arguably have the number 1 running back in McCaffrey and number 1 wide receiver in Devontae Adams. You got 2 QB1s. I'm not sure drafting Breeze and Rodgers was the best use of resources, but you have 2 QB1s, so you could always trade one of them. And then I'll be interested to see if Philip Lindsay is going to get more than a 50-50 split with Royce Freeman in that new offense in Denver. Number 3. It's not Canute Kersey anymore, but I preferred that team name to the current one, so I left it on here. Also, I used a 2-year-old template for the slides, so that's why some of it's off. Okay, Justin, you have bell cow running backs, no question. Between Le'Veon and James Conner, really good. I think OBJ could return. He'll threaten Devontae as the top wide receiver. Only 2 things I have for you. Jordan Reed probably has CT, and then you drafted a rookie wide receiver who's already on IR in N'Keal Harry. Otherwise, this team's pretty stacked. Number 2, Tommy's Terminators. I love Lamar Jackson. I think that he will outscore Baker. But you have 2 really good quarterbacks. You have running back depth for days. I think you sniped me big time on Curtis Samuel, and I think he's going to be the best wide receiver in the Panthers. And you have running back depth. However, it is somewhat dependent on Melvin Gordon continuing to hold out. If he is not traded or if he is traded or ends his holdout, then if he's traded, great. If he ends his holdout, Eckler's value goes down. Number 1, Senior Ass. Okay, I just think if you look at the skill, take quarterback out of it. You look at your 5-star non-quarterback starters: Fournette, Jones, Evans, Lockett, Kittle. That's probably the strongest 5 across the board in a league where the difference between a good quarterback and a mediocre quarterback isn't that great. I think having that starting 5 is extremely important, and that's stronger than anybody's team. You have running back upside. I'm not a huge Dak guy, so that could be an issue. I also think you have some wide receiver depth. But otherwise, I see this as a very good team. Okay, so let's move on to the predictions. Okay, week 1 predictions. Homies sneaks by, weapons of Matt's distraction. 44-39. Stern rake, edges, stunts cock. 49-47. Tuckfest obliterates yesterday's corn. 66-41. Team Man Gravy has just enough juice to get by juicy giant jocks. 48-47. In the movable, little brother vanquishes the elder. 59-51. And finally, Tommy Terminator mops up MVP power. 73-30. All right, that does it. Tried to go fast, still kind of long, but I will say good luck to everybody except Adam. I hope your team is terrible this week. We'll talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.